Hey there. I'm going to work through a case here where I manipulate the values in this document, in this Excel document, and then write back the manipulated or reformulated values to a new Google Sheet. So you can see here I have an Excel document, so it's not a Google Sheet, it's an Excel document that's been uploaded to Google Drive. Here's the folder. I have a couple of files, and this is the Excel document. So the first thing I'm going to do here is, I'm actually just going to reset this. First thing I'm going to do is go get the file. So get the file called expenses XLSX from my hello directory in Google Drive. So I'm going to mention Google Drive. Now one tricky thing is you might think you would use the Google Sheet skill. You might also think you could use the Excel skill. But since we're manipulating files in Google Drive, you have to make sure that the Google Drive skill shows up here. Otherwise, it won't run correctly. It's kind of confusing how Google does it. You know, they separate out Google Drive from Google Sheets, and sometimes you have to use one, and sometimes you have to use the other. So here we just brought back that data, and we can see it's the same document that we had here. So now that I have the data, now I can manipulate it in a next step. And so one thing we always do in Pinkfish is we always get data in one step and then manipulate it in another step. And the reason is when the agentic coder is writing code, it needs to be able to understand what the structure of the data is in order to manipulate it. So here I'll say using the file returned in the previous step, sum the values in the amount column and output that here. So now I'm just playing around with the logic. I want to make sure that it can go get that file and read the values and give me a sum. This isn't the final state of what I want, but we'll just start playing with the data in this way. So let's see if it can go get those values and return them. Okay, great. So it gave us a total amount. That was the sum of all these. Let's just verify that. So 7122. Great. So now we could do anything here, right? We could add any type of logic. We could, now that we know it works, we could continue on with our formulas here. So we could say, use a particular formula to, calculate what the next date will be, or whatever the math is that we want to do. We can manipulate any of the data because we have the data now in the workflow where we can actually work with it. So I'm going to then kind of continue on this conversation, and I'm going to ask it to, let's just say I got my formula right, and now I just want it to recompile all the data, because all I have here is the the total amount, and I have some metadata about it, but I don't have it reassembled in a way that I can then re-upload to Google Drive. So I'm going to say assemble a CSV. So it was working CSV. We can't natively manipulate an Excel file here. So we're gonna operate on a CSV basis. So assemble a CSV that has the amount summed in at the bottom of the amount column. So now that I have my math, I'm going to create what I want my final document to be with my changes in it, and then in the next step we'll take this document and then we'll upload it back to Google Drive. So let's see what it does here. Okay, great. So now I have my document the way I want it. I've got my math back in here. That I've got my formula, my calculation. So now I have the final product. We can write it back to Google Drive. So here I'm going to say, again, using Google Drive, upload the CSV from previous step to my hello folder. Okay, so I'm gonna try this first. And you'll see that I did a couple of things. One, again, we just need to make sure Google Drive is listed there and not Google Sheets or anything else. And I specified the folder again. Even though I gave it the folder here, it doesn't necessarily know that we want to upload to the same folder. So just go ahead and give it all the details. And here it's doing its work. And what I'm expecting now is that it will have written a CSV to, yeah, there it is, CSV here. And so because we didn't tell it to convert it to any particular format, so what we could do instead, though, is we could upload it as a Google Sheet, which might be more useful to you. So I could say, actually, upload the CSV as a Google Sheet. And so now it'll do a conversion of that CSV to a Google Sheet. It's possible that we wanted a CSV in that drive there, but so we may be done with our workflow already. But if we want it as a Google Sheet, we've got to take this extra step. Okay, I just got an error, and this is what I've been warning about throughout the video here, and I forgot to do it. I just said Google Sheet here, and it did not pick the Google Drive skill. It only picked the Google Sheet skill. So I'm going to try this again. Actually, upload as a Google Sheet, being sure to use Google Drive. So now I'm expecting it to pick the Google Drive skill. This is what you have to be aware of when working between Google Sheets and Google Drives. Super confusing, but always make sure that you got your Google Drive skill there. So if we were operating only with Google Sheets, if we weren't moving files back and forth and we just wanted to manipulate a Google Sheet, like a formula in a Google Sheet, we could do that with just the Google Sheet skill. But when you start moving files back around, up and down, then you need to work with Google Drive, and Google Drive and Google Sheet are not the same. So here we go. We've got our nice formatted values there, and we've got the file uploaded. So that's it. It's a three-part process. One, go get the file that you're interested in, and again, so because it's an XLSX, I have to use Google Drive because it's not a Google Sheet. If this was a Google Sheet, we could use Google Sheets, but it's not. Any file that's not a Google Sheet, or if it was Google Doc, I can use Google Doc. But since it's a file that's not natively supported by Google, I can't. I have to use Google Drive because I'm just actually getting the file and then pushing it back. So here I got the file, then we did the manipulations, and then we wrote the file back. Now, let's say that I'm not comfortable having any of this data here in my logs. Now, what I can do as a last step is I could say, let's delete our artifacts. So I'm going to do delete artifacts from previous steps. Delete all my artifacts. And so what this is going to do when this runs is it's going to look back across everything that we created, and it will delete it. It's not going to delete it in the Google Drive. That will remain, but it's just going to delete our local copy here. And this is a way that you can clean up. So now if I go back here and let's say I reload, let's see if it can get it. Now it's going to have trouble getting this file because it no longer exists, right? So I've done all this work. I have no outputs anymore because they were removed. So that's how you can clean up after you're done. If you're concerned about your data living anywhere on Pinkfish, the process here is we just we brought all the data down, we manipulated it, we put it back, and then we deleted it. So we have a process that cleaned up after itself. And there you have it.